evening, we bring you the latest in the world of sports. I'm Paulo De Rosario.
We give you the conversations you want to hear from your favorite icons and athletes. I'm Zihir Basho in tonight's Game Plan. We'll talk about the potential frontrunners in the highest individual award in the PVL All-Filipino Conference.
We'll also take a look at the X factors in the clash between Adamson and UST in the UAAP Season 85 Women's Volleyball. No FEU talk today. And we'll also catch up with one Atomweight contender, Denice Zamboanga, as she announces her upcoming fight inside the One Championship ring. Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game. Well, the PVL is more than halfway over the elimination round, and fans have been buzzing over who is having the best performance in the All-Filipino Conference. While a lot may still happen in the course of the next 2 weeks, some players have made obvious impacts in their respective squads. Now joining us to give us her list of MVP frontrunners is PVL analyst Noreen Go, joining us via Zoom. Noreen, how are you doing?
Hey,
I'm great. I miss you guys. How are you guys?
You don't miss us enough. You're not here. But
I know.
But Noreen, thank you again for coming on. First of all, when you take a look at this list, syempre, there are going to be a few snubs, a few players that some people might have hoped that we're going to be talking about. But then in terms of yung criteria mo, what did you think of? What did you look at?
Well, of course, I looked at the different skills category. They just can't be playing well in one skills category. They have to be at least in the top 10 of 2 or 3 skills category to qualify for an MVP.
All right, and as Pao mentioned earlier, yun nga, we don't have such a long list for tonight.
Yeah.
We asked you for 3 names so far, and alam natin the elimination round is still ongoing. And let's talk about your first pick, who just played a while ago and won the game in 3 sets. Michelle Gumabaw.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a breakout season for her. I mean, conference for her. We have to mention, yes, Eliza Valdez is not playing, but you know, her leadership, aside from her numbers, really, you can see there, number 3 best score, 1st best spiker, and 7th best block. So she's playing an all-around game, but more than the numbers, I feel really, is the leadership that she brings to Creamline. So the chemistry is working A-okay, minus, let's say, Eliza Valdez. So they're looking good still in this conference.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people, it's funny that we're saying it's a breakout conference from her because medyo veterana na siya in terms of in the volleyball scene. But then what about her is different now compared to previous conferences? Because as you mentioned, obviously Eliza's not there. More people need to step up. But then what's most impressive for you based on her recent resurgence?
Me, really, it's her efficiency. I mean, when we watch the games, like every time she gets a set, chances are, I mean, she'll score because she's just so, for me, her mindset is really in a different place. She's just so focused. So every time they call on her, and we're talking about a team that has so many talents, but when they call on her, she delivers. So that's why she's been playing big for Creamline.
All right, and speaking of efficiency, let's move over to your second pick. Number 1 scorer so far in the league, we got Mylene Paat.
Well, I mean, Mylene Paat, for me, 2022, she ended it with a bang, which is good for her and her fans. And she's continuing this year, this conference. Big numbers. 1st best scorer, you can see, 7th best spiker, 4th best server. That blocker?
Blocker, yes.
Yeah, blocker. So, I mean, she's also contributing in different aspects of the game. But what I like about Paat is really what she's bringing to Cherry right now. We know that there were changes, off-season, you know, acquisitions and whatnot. But it looks like they're playing well, they're happy, and they're hoping that they can probably make it into the Final Four. Of course, they're hoping, but Mylene Paat's got to do what she's doing, you know, like the end of last year and the start of this year.
Well, you know, Mylene, again, as typical from her recently, putting up a reinforcement-like numbers. And we talk about inconsistency. And do you feel that right now it's more of a case that Cherry have to get the pieces around her firing as well? Because it's almost a given that Mylene will score for this Cherry team.
Oh, absolutely, Pao. I mean, we know that she's going to perform. She's going to score. But her teammates, they have to follow suit. You know, they have to believe that, you know, we're here, okay? We may not have been here before, but we're here now.
Yeah.
We are contenders for the next round. They have to believe and they do have to follow suit. Everyone really has to contribute. But she is really the soul, the heart and soul of the team. And if they take from her, her energy, her attitude, then you never know what's going to happen to Cherry.
All right, speaking of energy and attitude in the court, we already mentioned Michelle Gumabao, number 3 scorer. We got Mylene Pa at number 1 scorer. Let's talk about your number 2 scorer, Dindin Santiago Manabat.
Well, again, she's in a new team. I'm sure there's a lot of adjustments. I mean, the new system, new teammates, but she looks like she's recovered from her injuries.
Yeah.
She's getting, obviously, a lot of playing time as compared to the end of last year. So you can see her number there. 2 in scoring, 8 best spiker, 9 best server. I mean, these are great numbers for a new and young team, and they will just continue to get better for me.
You take a look at Dindin, and you mentioned that she is moving to a new team, and it felt like she had to adapt, she had to adjust. Sa palagay mo ba, is she still on an upward trend in terms of what she could be in terms of this group? Kasi we all know that the role that she's taking over is kind of like Mama P's role before, wherein that she was the one teaching this young core how to win.
Oh, for me, she's only starting. She's just getting started. And things will just keep looking better and brighter for Akari.
What do you think, Noreen, can Dindin bring to this new team? We know this is her first conference so far, and as the elimination round has progressed, what's something that Dindin brings into Akari?
Well, for me, really, aside again from the numbers, that's why we're talking about MVP candidate is. Aside from the numbers, she brings leadership. Not just, the vocal leadership. For me, emotional leadership is very important.
Yeah.
Her team now can believe in her, look to her that, okay, we have a Dindin Santiago Manabat in our team. So she'll take us places. We have to believe as well. So it's really the psyche of the team with her in the fold.
I was going to ask you a while ago whether or not you believe that if another player can come in and break this 3 and make it a 4-horse race or even more. But unfortunately, we don't have enough time for that, and we're going to have to move on right after this.
All right, thanks, Ms. Noreen. But stay right there, because after the break, we'll find out what to expect from the quadruple header in the UAAP Season 85 Women's Volleyball tomorrow. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game. Welcome back to the game. All teams in the UAAP will be battling out tomorrow for another serving of the women's volleyball matches. And to give us a preview of the Wednesday quadruple header, we still have with us volleyball analyst Miss Noreen Go. Miss Noreen, thank you for staying. This time we'll talk about UAAP.
All right. So, Noreen, first off, we're not gonna talk about FEU first kasi nandito naman siya. All right. But then, Z, you should get the ball rolling here.
All right. Let's start with the first match tomorrow happening. All the women's matches are happening tomorrow at the Smart Araneta Coliseum, by the way. So first up, we got DLSU versus UE. LaSalle looking for a really comfortable lead so far here in the elimination round.
Yeah, I mean, we have to mention that that's one of the best starts of LaSalle in a while. I mean, their fans and their community, they have to be happy. And tomorrow, of course, we expect the same. They're looking good. The rookies are blending well, so we expect that they will play well. Now, just a little, comment about UE. For UE, it's a slow start, but we know these players like Lana, Dana Nierva. They can just, have a good showing tomorrow and try to challenge LaSalle. So, at least to enjoy the game, at least, to make it interesting tomorrow.
The X factor that we actually listed down here is Angel Canina ng DLSU. Let's see if she can continue building on her strong start to the season. But then the next game here, Ateneo against FEU. I could only imagine, Noreen. Let's talk about Z as if she's not here. How do you think Z Herbacio is feeling right now, considering it's FEU against Ateneo?
I think she's torn at the moment. but she's there. I can see her there. But, I think it's going to be an interesting game because, again, both these teams, they have their struggles. We know, especially Ateneo, I think we know that they're better than their previous matches. We've seen them last year, how they ended that season 84. So they're hoping, to bounce back to season 85. They just have to regroup. For me, regroup, set the emotions aside, and try to play a better game. Now for FEU, you started out really well. You won your first match against UP. I think it's a young team, but again, I look forward to the progress of FEU, right, See?
Right, you are. We are a very young team, and I have yet to see them grow and blossom in the 85th season of the UAAP.
All right, so I'm going to save Z Herbacio here and moving on to the next matchup because this is arguably one of the more intriguing ones here today.
Yes.
Adamson, for tomorrow rather, Adamson against UST. Louis Romero has been so fantastic for Adamson. Laure doing what Laures do in UST, which is basically score and put wins on the board. You take a look at this matchup, what will be the biggest difference between these two?
Oh, I'm so excited actually to watch that game because I'm not lucky enough to be following every game. But heard a lot about some other games, and UST Adamson, it's going to be all-out war for me because obviously both teams know their potential. UST just beat NU. Adamson took NU to 5 sets as well. Obviously, NU was a benchmark or is a benchmark this season because of their spectacular performance last season. So knowing that, with that mindset, I think tomorrow's all-out war. And you can't say that there's one that's more favorable based on the way they've been playing, right? So it's just going to be exciting to see Laure lead their squad together with Alessandrini. Of course, you mentioned Louis Romero. I mean, what a start, season 85. She's going to just make her teammates look better and better. But I guess tomorrow it boils down to who wants it more. Who wants it more in the first round is going to prevail.
Before we move on to the other match at hand, is there one thing that you really want to see happen tomorrow between Adamson and UST?
I want to see great floor defense. I mean, if it's a battle of will, you'll see it when they're trying to retrieve the ball, dive, sacrifice their bodies. I want to see great floor defense. The libero's going to work doubly hard. And of course, with great defense, now the challenge is how will the other players convert into offense. But boils down to great defense for me first.
All right, now moving on to the final matchup, it's going to be NU versus UP. NU, it feels like they always had that target on their back because of the way that they swept last season. And they always bring out the best in their opposition. Now, if you're UP, you're hoping that that's the case here, and I think we've seen already before that NU is a beatable team this season.
I love the way you said that because, they're in unfamiliar territory based on last season, right? So they are beatable. Now the question for NU is how will they bounce back from that? No, that's the challenge for these young, talented players. So I feel it's pretty much going to be like the LaSalle UE. You know that they're going to come out. They have to mature fast enough because they're looking at the entire season, not just the start of this season.
Yeah.
And they're going to try to play better. Now for you, for UP, for me, it's the same. Shaky start, but the start doesn't really define you. We saw great play from Itang, Bertolano. So, if they can actually play well at the same time with Costrillo, at least have a better showing in tomorrow's game.
All right, I think all of the teams have played at least 3 games so far, 4th tomorrow. What has been the biggest change so far in this season 85 in the UAAP?
I think all the teams are getting better. I mean, you're right, and you had a target their backs, but I think like you see UST, you see LaSalle, everyone's getting better. Other teams will follow suit. But I need to mention, you mentioned it earlier, Pao, Angel Canino. I mean, she is for me the next rookie sensation that UAAP is so excited to see blossom. So that's one thing that I've noticed at the start of this season.
Exciting stuff happening, and we're just getting started in the women's volleyball season. Noreen, maraming salamat. We can't wait to see you in studio next time, hopefully. All right. All right, so after the break, we'll find out what's in store for one Atomweight contender, Denice Zamboanga, after her big announcement. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game.
Watching the game. After getting back in the win column in her last fight, one Atomweight contender, Denice Zamboanga, is ready for her next challenge. And joining us tonight to talk about her next bout inside the ring is, of course, the menace herself. Welcome back to the game, Denice.
Thank you
Saya,
so much.
nandito ka ulit live in the studio.
Alam mo, natatakot ako eh. Every time the two of you have the four biceps around me are the scariest thing I've ever been around in Philippine sports. But Z, get us going,
Okay.
please.
So, Denice, aside from your wedding, meron tayong bigger announcement.
Bigger ba?
Bigger!
Okay.
I feel this is bigger eh.
Oo.
Yeah, I'll be fighting on April 2022 sa Bangkok. This is my first fight this year. So, malaking ano sa akin to.
April against, if I'm not mistaken, a fighter from Brazil, si Julie Mezabarba. And, well, base sa initial scouting reports, especially when we were talking a while ago, striking ata magiging laban nyo eh, basically. Tama ba?
Yes.
See? Medyo mas madugo ata
Kung ayun
to.
yung gusto niyang mangyari.
Oo.
Kung saan yung gusto niya sa akin, okay lang kahit saan.
Okay, I like that.
I like
that.
this. So, Denise, meron ka bang message para kay Julie? As early as now. Kasi parang papunta na tayo dun eh.
Actually, si Julie, sobrang tough niya eh. Sobrang,
Okay.
alam mo yun, parang guy yung kanyang katawan.
Oo.
So, sa akin malaking challenge to na makatapat ako ng ganyang kalakas na opponent. Tapos, first time ko makakalaban ng Brazilian. So, big challenge to sa akin. Message ko sa kanya na, ayun, galingan na lang namin sa April.
Alright.
Si Julie is actually coming off a situation na a bit familiar to you, coming off back-to-back losses and trying to get back on the winning track. Recently, prior to yung last win mo, back-to-back losses ka rin eh. So, knowing and understanding yung mentality niya, how are you going to get ready for that?
Siyempre, hindi ko ibibigay sa kanya yung win. Siyempre, iuwi ko pa rin yung win sa Philippines. So, yeah.
Well, of course, dapat lang. when you take a look at yung record mo ngayon, 4-2 na
Right.
division, and syempre yung goal mo, maging champion again. Sa palagay mo ba, what can a potential win here do for your route to yung title belt?
Itong win ko siguro na to, malaking bagay to para mapalapit tayo sa title shot.
And we're talking about the title. Share mo naman sa amin, ano bang significance or gaano ba ka-importante for you to win this next match and to win another championship?
Sa akin sobrang importante kasi wala pang Pinay sa One Championship yung nakakapag-champion. So,
Okay.
kapag naging champion ako sa One Championship, so we will make history.
Yes.
And speaking about making history, she's gonna have her own personal history soon. Again, your fiancé actually won his previous fight. First of all, congratulations on the impending wedding. I don't know kung anong mas madugo, yung laban, fight in the ring or a potential marriage, or the marriage rather. But then you take a look at being a couple, fighting in an MMA, fighting in one. Can you give us an insight on how you help each other compete in this higher level?
Actually, sobrang masaya eh. Alam mo yun, sobrang comfortable namin sa isa't isa. Siyempre, siya yung kasuntukan ko, siya yung kasuntukan talaga.
Oo,
Alam mo, sanay na ako.
But that's true, di ba? Sparring partner din kayo.
Sparring partner kami. So, kapag sa training, sanay na siya suntukin ko siya, sanay na ako suntukin niya ako. So, yun na yung parang date namin sa isa't isa. Suntukan.
Alright. Pero, share with us, parang how important or how helpful is it to have a partner na sparring partner and future partner?
Yes. Sobrang
All in one.
Oo, yun nga eh. Kasi as coach ko na rin siya eh. Siya yung tumutulong sa akin sa striking. Mahirap kasi maghanap minsan ng partner na hindi mo nagigets yung sports mo, di ba?
Oh, I understand completely. Again, for those who want to Google him, he's Fritz Kid Tornado Biagtas, and he won his last fight noong Feb 17. Denise, maraming salamat. Good luck in your
Thank you.
upcoming
Thank
fight.
you
We
so
can't
much.
wait to see it. And please, oh my God, you're gonna post a photo of the two of you flexing again. Abangan niyo yan.
Oh,
Maraming
no.
salamat, Denise.
Alright, thank you, Denise.
Thank you
And Pao, thank you for joining us. I'm Zihir Basho.
Catch us weekdays here on One News, One Sports, and One Sports Plus. I'm Paolo Del Rosario, and this has been The Game.